I think the most important part of the book is right here, so I'll start reading there. Right now, someone with less talent than you is winning. They're getting the opportunities you want. They're achieving the success you're working toward. They're living the life you're planning for. And it's not because they're smarter. It's not because they work harder. It's not because they got lucky. It's because they're better positioned. Positioning is the invisible advantage that most people never think about. They focus on getting better at what they do. They work on their skills, their knowledge, their credentials. They believe that excellence alone will create success. And they wonder why others with less obvious talent keep winning. Here's what they're missing. In any competitive environment, position matters more than ability. The best player in the wrong position loses. The adequate player in the right position wins. It's not about being the best. It's about being positioned where your specific strengths create the most value. Think about chess. A grandmaster doesn't just move pieces randomly, hoping their skill will overcome bad positioning. They spend the entire game creating superior positioning. They control key squares. They coordinate pieces. They limit their opponent's options. When the position is right, victory becomes inevitable regardless of individual piece strength. Your life works the same way. You can be incredibly talented, hardworking, and skilled. But if you're poorly positioned, you'll struggle. Meanwhile, someone with less obvious capability but superior positioning will consistently win. This audiobook is about positioning. Not just understanding it, but mastering it. Learning to see positioning opportunities that others miss. Creating positions where your strengths become decisive advantages. Building situations where success becomes the natural result of your position, not constant effort. Most people spend their lives trying to get better. Strategic thinkers spend their lives getting better positioned. And positioning, once you understand it, changes everything. Understanding strategic positioning. Let's start with what positioning actually means, because most people have never thought about it explicitly. Positioning is where you place yourself relative to opportunities, resources, and competition. It's not just physical location, though that can matter. It's your position in networks, in markets, in information flows, in skill landscapes, in any domain where value is created and captured. Good positioning means you're where opportunities find you rather than you having to find them, where your efforts create outsized returns, where your strengths are rare and valuable rather than common and undifferentiated. We face less competition because others don't see what you see. Poor positioning means you're competing in crowded spaces where everyone has similar capabilities, where opportunities require constant hunting, where effort translates to linear returns at best, where you're differentiated by nothing except price or effort, which means you're not differentiated at all. Here's a concrete example. Imagine two software developers with similar skills. Developer A positions themselves as a generalist, competing for standard web development jobs in a major city. Developer B positions themselves at the intersection of software development and a specific industry, let's say healthcare, where they understand both the technical and domain challenges. Developer A faces intense competition. Thousands of developers have similar skills. They compete primarily on price or reputation built slowly over time. Getting opportunities requires constant networking and job applications. Their skills are valuable, but not rare. Developer B faces different dynamics. Far fewer developers understand both software and healthcare deeply. Healthcare organizations struggle to find people who speak both languages. Opportunities come inbound because developer B is positioned in a space with high demand and low supply. Their specific combination of skills is rare, even though each individual skill is common. Same skill level, completely different positioning, completely different outcomes. This is what strategic positioning creates. You're not competing in crowded spaces where you're undifferentiated. You're creating positions where your specific combination of capabilities is rare and valuable. But positioning isn't just about skills. It's about everything. Where you live positions you relative to opportunities and costs. Who you know positions you relative to information and access. What you know positions you relative to problems you can solve. How you spend time positions you relative to future capabilities. What assets you own positions you relative to economic forces. Every choice you make is a positioning choice, whether you realize it or not. You're either positioning yourself more advantageously or less advantageously. Most people make these choices unconsciously, based on what seems comfortable or conventional. Strategic thinkers make these choices consciously, based on what creates superior positioning. There are several types of positioning worth understanding. Geographic positioning, where you physically locate yourself, matters. Some locations offer more opportunities. Some offer lower costs. Some offer network effects. Some offer lifestyle benefits. Strategic thinkers choose locations deliberately based on what they're optimizing for, not just where they grew up or where it seems obvious. Network positioning. Who you know and how you're connected matters enormously. Some network positions give you access to information and opportunities. Others leave you isolated. Strategic thinkers deliberately build network positions that create advantage, not just collect random contacts. Skill positioning. What you can do and how rare those capabilities are determines your value in markets. Common skills create commodity positioning. Rare skills, especially rare combinations, create differentiated positioning. Strategic thinkers build skill combinations that are valuable and rare, not just valuable. Information positioning. What you know that others don't creates advantage. Some positions give you access to information before it becomes widely known. Some positions help you interpret information better. Strategic thinkers position themselves in information flows that create advantage. Market positioning, where you compete and how you're differentiated determines whether you win or struggle. Some markets are crowded and commoditized. Others have space for differentiated players. Strategic thinkers choose markets and positions where they can win, not just markets that seem obvious. Financial positioning. What assets you own and what leverage you have determines your options and resilience. Some financial positions create freedom. Others create constraint. Strategic thinkers build financial positions that expand options over time. All of these positioning types interact. Your geographic position affects your network position. Your network position affects your information position. Your information position affects your market position. Strategic thinkers think about positioning holistically, not just optimizing one dimension in isolation. Here's what makes positioning so powerful. Good positioning compounds over time. When you're well positioned, opportunities come to you. Those opportunities improve your positioning further. You build capabilities that make you more valuable. You build relationships that open more doors. You build assets that create more options. Your position gets stronger automatically. Poor positioning works the opposite way. When you're poorly positioned, you have to work hard for limited opportunities. Those opportunities don't improve your position much. You build capabilities that don't differentiate you. You build relationships that don't open new doors. You stay stuck in the same position or gradually fall behind. This is why some people seem to get luckier over time, while others work hard without getting ahead. It's not luck. It's positioning. Good positioning creates compound advantages. Poor positioning creates compound disadvantages. The goal of this audiobook is to teach you to think about positioning explicitly, to recognize positioning opportunities, and to build positions that create compound advantages over time, not just in one area, but holistically across your life. Because here's the truth. You're already positioned. The question is whether you're positioned well or poorly, and whether you're improving your position or accepting whatever position you find yourself in. Strategic thinkers don't accept default positioning. They actively create superior positioning, and that makes all the difference. The positioning mindset. Before we dive into specific positioning strategies, you need to understand the mindset shift required to think about positioning effectively. Most people have what I call a capability mindset. They believe success comes from being good at what they do. Get better skills, work harder, produce better results, and success follows. This mindset is deeply embedded in our education system and cultural narratives. Be excellent and you'll succeed. There's truth in this mindset. Capability matters, but it's incomplete. The positioning mindset recognizes that where you apply your capabilities matters as much as the capabilities themselves. Think about it this way. Imagine you're an excellent swimmer. The capability mindset says, become a better swimmer and you'll succeed. The positioning mindset asks, where should I swim? In a pool where everyone is an excellent swimmer, or in waters where swimming ability is rare and valuable? Should I compete in swimming events, or should I position myself where swimming enables something else valuable? The positioning mindset doesn't ignore capability. It asks where capability creates the most value. And that's a fundamentally different question. People with capability mindset keep improving in their current position, even when that position is disadvantageous. People with positioning mindset recognize when their current position isn't serving them and reposition deliberately. Here's another difference. Capability mindset is internally focused. Am I good enough? Am I improving? Positioning mindset is contextually focused. Given my capabilities, where do they create the most value? Where is demand high and supply low? Where can I be distinctly valuable rather than just competent? Capability mindset tends toward competition. If I'm better than others, I'll win. Positioning mindset tends toward differentiation. How can I position myself where I'm not directly competing? How can I create a position where my specific combination of capabilities is uniquely valuable? This doesn't mean capability doesn't matter. It means capability alone isn't sufficient. You need both capability and positioning. But since most people only think about capability, the bigger opportunity is positioning. The positioning mindset also involves seeing opportunities that others miss. Most people look at established positions. Strategic thinkers look at emerging positions. Where are new opportunities being created? Where are spaces opening that don't exist yet? Where can you position yourself ahead of the crowd? This requires different thinking. You're not asking what jobs exist. You're asking, what needs are emerging that aren't being met? You're not asking, what's the established path? You're asking, what paths are becoming possible that weren't possible before? Positioning mindset is also proactive rather than reactive. Reactive positioning waits for opportunities to appear and tries to capture them. Proactive positioning creates opportunities by positioning yourself where opportunities will emerge. Think about someone who learns about artificial intelligence in 2015 when it's still emerging, positions themselves at the intersection of AI and their existing domain expertise, and is ready when AI becomes critical in that domain. They didn't wait for jobs to be posted. They positioned themselves ahead of demand. When demand arrived, they were already positioned to capture value. Compare that to someone who waits until AI is obviously important, then tries to catch up by learning AI in competition with thousands of others who are also trying to catch up. They're reacting. The first person was positioning. The positioning mindset also recognizes that positioning is dynamic. Your optimal position changes as you grow, as markets evolve, as opportunities emerge and disappear. Strategic thinkers continuously assess their position and reposition when needed. They don't stay in positions that worked 5 years ago but don't work anymore. This requires being less attached to identity. People often stay in poor positions because this is what I do, or this is who I am. Strategic thinkers hold their identity more lightly. They're willing to reposition when their current position no longer serves them. There's another crucial aspect of positioning mindset, seeing positioning as a portfolio, not a single bet. You don't position yourself in just one way. You maintain multiple positions that create different types of value and different types of optionality. This might mean having multiple skill combinations that are valuable in different contexts, multiple network positions that provide different types of access, multiple income streams that aren't correlated, multiple locations you can operate from. You're not putting all your positioning eggs in one basket. Portfolio positioning creates resilience. If one position becomes less valuable, you have others. It also creates opportunity. You can spot opportunities at intersections of your different positions that others don't see. The positioning mindset requires thinking in systems, not just linear cause and effect. Your position isn't just the result of your individual choices. It's shaped by network effects, by market dynamics, by information flows, by power structures. Strategic thinkers understand these systemic forces and position themselves to benefit from them rather than being buffeted by them. This might sound abstract, so let me make it concrete. Imagine you're choosing what to learn next. Capability mindset asks, what skill would make me better at my current job? Positioning mindset asks, what skill, combined with what I already know, would position me uniquely? What skill is becoming more valuable? What skill would give me access to different opportunities? What skill would position me in valuable networks? These questions lead to completely different choices, and those choices, compounded over time, create completely different life trajectories. The positioning mindset is learnable. You develop it by constantly asking positioning questions. Where am I positioned now? Is this position serving me? Where could I reposition for more advantage? What positions are becoming available that weren't available before? Who is well positioned, and what can I learn from their positioning? Make these questions habitual, and you'll start seeing positioning opportunities everywhere. You'll start making different choices. And over time, you'll build positions that create compound advantages. If you're starting to see how positioning mindset differs from capability mindset, make sure you keep listening. We want to go deep on specific positioning strategies across every domain of life. This is just the foundation. Identifying your unique advantages. Strategic positioning starts with understanding what you have to work with, not in a generic sense, but specifically. What are your actual, specific advantages? And critically, what combinations of advantages do you have that are rare? Most people think about strengths too broadly. I'm good at math, or I'm creative, or I'm a people person. These categories are too general to create positioning advantage. Strategic thinkers identify specific capabilities, experiences, knowledge, relationships, and resources that combine in unusual ways. Let's start with a framework for identifying your positioning assets. First, technical capabilities. What can you actually do? Not just categories like coding or writing, but specific technical capabilities. Can you build machine learning models? Can you analyze complex financial statements? Can you design user interfaces? Can you negotiate complex contracts? Get specific, but don't stop there. For each technical capability, ask, how deep is my capability? Am I surface-level competent or genuinely expert? Because surface-level competence and common skills doesn't create positioning advantage. Deep expertise and specific skills does. Second, domain knowledge. What do you understand deeply about specific domains? Industries, fields, problem spaces, communities. This is different from technical capability. It's understanding how things work in specific contexts, understanding healthcare systems, understanding educational institutions, understanding how small businesses operate, understanding how content creators build audiences. Domain knowledge is often undervalued because it's harder to credential than technical skills. But it's enormously valuable for positioning because it's rare to combine deep domain knowledge with specific technical capabilities. Most people have one or the other. Third, combination capabilities. This is where it gets interesting. What can you do that exists at the intersection of different domains? Can you translate between technical and non-technical people? Can you understand both the creative and business aspects of projects? Can you operate in both online and offline contexts? Can you bridge different cultures or communities? Combination capabilities are valuable because they're rare by definition. The more specific the combination, the rarer it is. Someone who understands both software development and genetic research is rare. Someone who understands software, genetic research, and regulatory environments is even rarer. Fourth, network position. Who do you know? But more importantly, who do you know that others don't have access to? What communities are you part of? What groups trust you? Network position is an advantage when it gives you access to information, opportunities, or resources that others don't have. Don't think about network size. Think about network uniqueness and strength. A small network of people who deeply trust you and operate in valuable domains is more advantageous than the large network of casual connections. Fifth, experiential knowledge. What have you experienced that others haven't? This includes unusual life experiences, challenging projects you've completed, problems you've solved, failures you've learned from. Experience creates tacit knowledge that can't be easily taught or replicated. Someone who's built a company from zero to significant revenue has knowledge that's qualitatively different from someone who's only worked in established companies. Someone who's lived in multiple countries has understanding that can't be replicated through reading. Experience is a positioning asset. Sixth, resources and assets. What do you own or control that creates optionality? This might be financial capital, but it might also be time, attention, reputation, platforms, tools, or physical assets. Resources create positioning by enabling actions others can't take. Now here's the key. Your positioning advantage almost never comes from any single asset in isolation. It comes from combinations. The specific intersection of your technical capabilities, domain knowledge, network position, experiences, and resources creates a unique combination that very few others have. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone with technical capability in data analysis and visualization, domain knowledge of education systems from years teaching, network position connecting educators and technology companies, experience building educational products that failed and succeeded, platform of educators who trust their recommendations. Any one of these is valuable, but not rare. Lots of people can analyze data. Lots of people know education. But the specific combination? That's rare. That person is positioned to see opportunities at the intersection of education and data that most data analysts miss, and most educators don't have the technical capability to execute on. This is how you identify your positioning advantages. You look for the intersections, the combinations, the specific configurations of capabilities and assets that few others have. But there's a next step, identifying gaps. What's missing from your configuration that, if added, would create even more unusual positioning? What capability, if you built it, would combine with what you have to create something rare and valuable? Strategic thinkers constantly ask, what's my next capability that creates the most positioning value? Not what's the most impressive capability to add, or what's trending, but what combines with what I have to create rare positioning. Maybe you have technical skills and domain knowledge, but lack communication skills to explain complex ideas simply. Adding that communication capability doesn't just make you better at what you do. It positions you as a rare bridge between technical and non-technical worlds in your domain. Maybe you have deep expertise, but lack network connections to decision makers. Building specific relationships doesn't just give you access. It positions you where your expertise can create actual impact. This is strategic capability building. You're not randomly collecting skills. You are deliberately building capabilities that enhance your positioning. There's another dimension worth exploring. Your advantages that come from constraints or unusual circumstances. Sometimes what seems like a disadvantage creates unique positioning. Maybe you came to your field late, which means you see it differently than people who've been in it their whole career. Maybe you have a disability that forced you to develop unusual approaches. Maybe you grew up in an unusual environment that gave you perspectives others don't have. These aren't just obstacles you've overcome. They're positioning assets if you frame them correctly. Strategic thinkers look at their entire life configuration and ask, what's unique here? What do I have or know or can do that creates rare positioning? They don't compare themselves to idealized standards. They look for their specific, actual configuration of advantages. Once you've identified your unique combination of advantages, you can start asking positioning questions. Where are these advantages most valuable? Where is this combination rare? Where does this create an unfair advantage? Where does this open opportunities others don't see? This is how you move from vague, I'm good at X, thinking to specific strategic positioning. You understand exactly what you have to work with in detail, including the unusual combinations. And then you position yourself where those specific advantages create maximum value, creating asymmetric advantages. Understanding your advantages is the first step. Creating asymmetric advantages is the next level. An asymmetric advantage is one where your input creates disproportionate output, where your effort produces outsized returns, where small differences in capability create large differences in outcomes. Most people compete symmetrically. They try to be better than competition at the same things. Work harder, produce higher quality, charge less. This creates grinding competition where small advantages produce small returns. Strategic thinkers create asymmetric advantages. They position themselves where their specific strengths create disproportionate value, where competition can't easily match them, where their advantages compound rather than being competed away. Let's explore how to create asymmetric advantages. The first principle is leverage. Leverage means you create value once, and it produces returns many times. You're not trading time for money linearly. You're creating assets, systems, or positions that work for you repeatedly. Writing a book is leverage. You write it once. It generates value many times. Building a course is leverage. Building software is leverage. Building an audience is leverage. Creating systems is leverage. Building expertise that attracts opportunities is leverage. Strategic thinkers constantly ask, what can I create once that will keep working? What systems can I build that produce ongoing returns? They're not just executing tasks. They're building leverage. The second principle is network effects. Network effects occur when the value of something increases as more people use it or participate in it. Social platforms have network effects. Marketplaces have network effects. But you can create personal network effects too. If you're known as a connector who introduces valuable people to each other, your network position becomes more valuable as your network grows. Each connection makes you more valuable to everyone else. That's a network effect. If you create content that attracts an audience, that audience makes you more attractive to collaborators, which helps you create better content, which attracts more audience. That's a network effect. Strategic thinkers position themselves in or create situations with network effects, where their value compounds automatically rather than requiring constant effort to maintain. The third principle is information asymmetry. If you know things others don't, you can act on opportunities others miss. If you understand dynamics others don't see, you can position yourself advantageously while others are confused. Information asymmetry doesn't mean having secret information. It means understanding something deeply that others understand superficially. It means seeing patterns others miss. It means connecting dots others haven't connected. Strategic thinkers invest in understanding that creates information asymmetry. They go deeper on topics that matter. They look at information from angles others don't consider. They develop frameworks that help them see what others miss. The fourth principle is skill stacking. This is creating unique combinations of capabilities that are rare and valuable together. We touched on this earlier, but it's worth emphasizing because it's one of the most accessible ways to create asymmetric advantage. If you're a good writer, you're competing with millions of good writers. If you're a good writer who understands complex technical topics, you're competing with far fewer people. If you're a good writer who understands complex technical topics and knows how to build an audience online, you're competing with very few people. Each additional skill in your stack doesn't add to your value linearly. It multiplies it by positioning you more uniquely. 3 skills that are individually common can combine to create a rare position. Strategic thinkers deliberately build skill stacks that create asymmetric positioning. They ask, what's my next skill that, combined with what I have, creates unusual value? They're not collecting random skills. They're strategically stacking capabilities. The fifth principle is timing advantage. Being early to emerging opportunities creates asymmetric advantage. Less competition. More ability to establish position. More ability to learn while things are still evolving. Being late to established opportunities creates symmetric disadvantage. More competition. Established players with advantages. Less ability to differentiate. Strategic thinkers pay attention to what's emerging, not just what's established. They position themselves in spaces that are becoming important, not spaces that are already saturated. They accept the uncertainty of emergent spaces in exchange for the positioning advantage of being early. The sixth principle is building moats. A moat is something that protects your position from competition. The more difficult your position is to replicate, the more sustainable your advantage. What makes positions hard to replicate? Deep expertise that takes years to build. Strong relationships that are based on trust built over time. Reputation that comes from consistent delivery. Assets that are expensive or difficult to acquire. Systems that are complex and integrated. Network effects that create winner-take-most dynamics. Strategic thinkers don't just build positions. They build moats around those positions. They ask, what would make my position difficult for others to replicate? Then they build those things deliberately. The seventh principle is creating optionality. Optionality means your position gives you multiple possible paths forward, not just one. If circumstances change, you have options. If opportunities emerge, you can pursue them. Asymmetric positions often create optionality. If you've built a valuable skill combination, you have options across multiple domains. If you've built a strong network, you have access to multiple opportunities. If you've built financial assets, you have choices others don't have. Strategic thinkers position themselves for optionality. They don't just optimize for their current best path. They position so they have multiple good paths available. This creates resilience and opportunity simultaneously. The eighth principle is compounding advantages. The best positions are those where advantages reinforce and multiply each other over time. Your expertise makes you more attractive to networks. Being in valuable networks gives you access to better information. Better information helps you build more expertise. The cycle reinforces itself. Strategic thinkers design positions with compounding dynamics. They ask, does this position create feedback loops that strengthen it over time? They avoid positions where advantages are static or eroding. Let me give you a concrete example of asymmetric positioning. Imagine someone who builds deep expertise in a specific technical domain, takes years, hard to replicate, shares knowledge generously, building a reputation and audience, creates network effects. Positions at the intersection of that technical domain and an adjacent domain, rare positioning, builds relationships with key people in both domains, network leverage, creates systems and content that continue generating value, leverage, invests proceeds into assets, financial leverage. Each element creates advantage. Combined, they create asymmetric advantage. The positioning becomes stronger over time. Opportunities flow inbound. Returns become disproportionate to effort. That's what asymmetric positioning looks like in practice. Compare that to someone who is competent at common skills, competes on price or effort in crowded markets, has no particular differentiation, builds no leverage, trades time for money, has no moat, easily replaced, maintains no network position. They might work as hard or harder, but their returns are symmetric at best. More effort creates linearly more return, maybe. Their position doesn't compound. They're not building asymmetric advantage. This is the difference strategic positioning creates. You're not just working. You're positioning yourself so your work creates compound, asymmetric advantages that grow over time. The question isn't whether you can create asymmetric advantages. The question is whether you're thinking about positioning this way. Whether you're deliberately building leverage, network effects, moats, skill stacks, optionality, and compounding dynamics into your position. Most people aren't. They just try to be good at what they do, which means the opportunity for those who do think about asymmetric positioning is enormous. We're diving deeper into specific positioning strategies across every domain of life. Keep listening to learn how to position yourself for asymmetric advantages in career, relationships, skills, finances, and more. Positioning in career and work. Your career is one of the most important positioning decisions you'll make. Most people approach career tactically. What job can I get? What pays well? What uses my degree? Strategic thinkers approach career as a positioning question. Where can I build rare value? Where am I creating asymmetric advantages? Where am I positioning for compound returns? Let's start with a fundamental reframe. Your career isn't a ladder. It's a positioning strategy. The ladder metaphor suggests linear progression. You climb from one rung to the next. But career success actually comes from positioning yourself advantageously, not from climbing a predetermined path. Think of your career as creating a unique position in a landscape. You're not trying to move up. You're trying to occupy a position where you create distinctive value, where opportunities flow to you, where your capabilities are rare and therefore valuable. This completely changes which career moves make sense. Sometimes the move that looks like up is actually poor positioning. Sometimes the move that looks lateral or even down is superior positioning. You're optimizing for position, not title or immediate comp. Here's a framework for career positioning. First, identify where you can create rare value. This is the combination of your capabilities, interests, and market dynamics. You're looking for intersections where what you can do, what you enjoy doing, and what's valuable converge in a way that's uncommon. Most people focus only on what's valuable in the market right now. Strategic thinkers look at what's becoming valuable, what's emerging, what problems are growing, what capabilities are becoming more important. Position yourself early in emerging value creation, and you'll have asymmetric advantage. Second, build positioning moats. In your career, Moats come from expertise that's difficult to replicate, relationships that create unique access, reputation that precedes you, and rare combinations of capabilities. Generic skills create no moat. Anyone can acquire them. Specialized expertise takes time to build and creates a moat. Relationships built on trust over years create a moat. Reputation for delivering exceptional results creates a moat. You're not just doing your job well. You're building career moats. Third, position at intersections. The most valuable career positions often exist at intersections of different domains, between technical and business, between creative and analytical, between online and offline, between different industries. Intersection positions are valuable because they're rare and because they enable seeing opportunities that specialists in either domain miss. You can translate between domains. You can apply insights from one domain to problems in another. You're positioned where value is created that others don't see. Fourth, build career leverage. Career leverage means you're building assets that keep working for you. This might be expertise that attracts inbound opportunities, reputation that precedes you, content or systems you've created that demonstrate capability, network position that connects you to opportunities. Every job should ideally build career leverage. You're not just trading time for salary. You're building assets that enhance future positioning. If a role doesn't build career leverage, you should question whether it's the right positioning move even if it pays well now. Fifth, create career optionality. Good positioning gives you multiple possible next moves, not just one path forward. You're building capabilities that are valuable across multiple contexts. You're developing relationships across different domains. You're positioning so that opportunities in different directions are available. Career optionality means you're never trapped. If one path closes, others are available. If better opportunities emerge, you can pursue them. You're not betting everything on one career trajectory. Let me make this concrete with an example. Imagine you're a software engineer early in your career. You could take the obvious path. Join a big tech company. Climb the engineering ladder. Optimize for salary and title. That's the traditional positioning. Or you could position differently. Choose a smaller company where you'll have broader responsibilities. Work on problems that combine technical skill with domain expertise in a specific industry. Build relationships with customers and stakeholders, not just other engineers. Share what you're learning through writing or speaking, building reputation and audience. 5 years later, the first person is a senior engineer competing with thousands of other senior engineers in big tech. Good salary, but commoditized position. Limited differentiation. The second person is positioned at the intersection of technical skill and specific domain expertise. They have relationships across business and technical worlds. They have reputation in a specific niche. They have opportunities to lead products, start companies, consult, or join companies in their domain at senior levels. Their positioning created asymmetric advantage and optionality. Neither path is universally better. But one is strategic positioning, the other is default path following. The strategic positioning creates compound advantages over time. Here are specific career positioning strategies. Position where you can build rare combinations of expertise. If your field is becoming saturated, add a complementary capability that creates differentiation. Don't compete in crowded spaces. Position where you're rare. Position where you can learn from the best. Early in your career, being around excellence is more valuable than maximizing salary. You're building capabilities and standards that will compound across your entire career. Position where you have visibility to opportunities. Some roles give you visibility into what's happening, what problems exist, what opportunities are emerging. That visibility is positioning advantage. You see opportunities to create value that others don't see. Position where you can build leverage. Choose roles where you can create systems, content, tools, or relationships that have ongoing value beyond your immediate work. You're building career assets, not just completing tasks. Position at the right stage of company or industry life cycle. Being early in growing companies or industries creates different positioning than being late. Neither is better universally, but you should be deliberate about which positioning you're choosing and why. Position for learning rate, not just current capability. The role where you'll learn fastest positions you better than the role where you'll be most comfortable. You're optimizing for capability growth, which determines future positioning. There's another dimension of career positioning worth discussing: building versus joining. Should you build your own company or join others' companies? This is a positioning question. Building positions you as an owner with upside but risk and responsibility. Joining positions you as someone who executes others' vision with less upside but less risk. Neither is better universally. The question is which positioning serves your goals, risk tolerance, and capabilities. Some people should position as builders. Others should position as elite executors or specialists. The key is being deliberate about which positioning you're choosing and why, not just defaulting to one path because it seems expected. Career positioning also involves understanding power dynamics and positioning yourself where you have leverage. Some positions have structural power, control over resources, decisions, or access. Some positions have network power, connections to valuable people or information. Some positions have expertise power, knowledge others need. Strategic career positioning means understanding these power dynamics and positioning yourself where you have leverage, not just hierarchical position, but actual leverage in terms of value creation, relationships, or expertise. There's also defensive career positioning. This means building positions that aren't vulnerable to automation, outsourcing, or market shifts. Positions at the intersection of human judgment and technical capability tend to be more defensible. Positions that require deep context and relationships tend to be more defensible. Positions where you create unique value tend to be more defensible. Strategic thinkers build careers that are anti-fragile. They benefit from volatility and change rather than being threatened by it. This usually means positioning with multiple income sources, broad networks, transferable skills, and reputation that transcends any specific role. Your career is your most valuable economic asset. Strategic positioning of that asset, where you work, what capabilities you build, what relationships you develop, what reputation you create, determines the returns you get on the time you invest in working. Most people optimize careers for immediate satisfaction or salary. Strategic thinkers optimize for positioning that creates compound advantages over decades. And that positioning determines your entire professional trajectory. Positioning through relationships. Relationships aren't just social connections. They're one of your most strategic positioning assets. Who you know, who knows you, how you're connected to networks. These determine what opportunities you see, what information you access, what support you have, and what you're able to accomplish. Yet most people approach relationships casually. They're friends with whoever happened to be nearby. They network sporadically when they need something. They maintain relationships out of obligation, even when those relationships don't serve anyone well. Strategic relationship positioning is different. It's about deliberately building a relationship network that positions you advantageously while creating genuine value for everyone involved. This isn't manipulation. It's intentionality. Let's start with understanding relationship positioning. Every relationship positions you somewhere in social and professional networks. Some relationships position you at the center of information flow. Some position you as a bridge between different networks. Some position you with access to resources or opportunities. Some position you with credibility and reputation. Some position you isolated with no network benefits. Strategic thinkers are conscious about what positioning their relationships create. They don't just collect contacts. They deliberately build relationship positions that create advantage. There are several types of relationship positioning worth understanding. Bridge positioning. You connect different networks that wouldn't otherwise be connected. You're positioned between different groups, different industries, different types of people, different communities. This positioning gives you access to diverse information and opportunities that neither network sees individually. Bridge positioning is valuable because you see opportunities at intersections. You can introduce people who should know each other. You can bring ideas from one network to another. You're positioned to create value through connection. Central positioning. You're at the center of a valuable network. People in your network know each other through you. Information flows through you. Opportunities often route through you. This positioning gives you influence and access. Central positioning is valuable but requires maintenance. You need to continue creating value for your network, or your central position erodes. But when maintained well, central positioning creates enormous leverage. Expert positioning. You're known for specific expertise or capabilities. People seek you out for particular kinds of problems or opportunities. This positioning means opportunities come to you rather than you having to find them. Expert positioning requires demonstrating expertise visibly, not just having it. You need to share knowledge, solve problems publicly, build reputation. But once established, expert positioning attracts opportunities automatically. Trust positioning. People trust you. Not just competence trust. They trust your judgment, your integrity, your intentions. This positioning means people bring you sensitive opportunities, candid information, and real problems. Trust positioning is built slowly through consistency, discretion, and genuine care for others' interests. But it's perhaps the most valuable positioning because trusted positions are rare and create access that can't be bought. Connector positioning. You're known as someone who introduces valuable people to each other. This positioning makes you valuable to everyone because everyone knows you might connect them to someone useful. It also means people are more willing to connect with you because connecting with you gives them access to your network. Connector positioning creates network effects. The more valuable connections you make, the more people want to be in your network, which gives you more valuable connections to make. Now, how do you strategically build relationship positions? First, be deliberate about who you invest relationship time with. You have limited time and energy. Every relationship you maintain is a choice not to invest that time elsewhere. Strategic thinkers are selective about relationships. This doesn't mean being cold or transactional. It means being thoughtful. Who challenges you to grow? Who exposes you to new ideas and opportunities? Who shares values even if they have different perspectives? Who brings out your best self? These are relationships worth investing in. Relationships that drain without reciprocal benefit, that reinforce mediocrity, that keep you stuck in old patterns. These deserve less investment even if they're comfortable or historical. Second, invest in building relationship quality, not just quantity. A small network of people who trust you deeply and are genuinely invested in your success is more valuable than the large network of casual contacts. Deep relationships require time, vulnerability, consistency, and genuine care. You can't have deep relationships with hundreds of people. You can have them with dozens. Be selective about which relationships you deepen. Third, position yourself in multiple networks, not just one. Being deeply embedded in one network gives you depth, but limits breadth. Being connected to multiple different networks gives you bridge positioning and diverse access. Deliberately build connections across your different areas of interest and expertise, across different industries, across different types of people, across different communities. Your unique combination of network positions creates opportunities others don't see. Fourth, create relationship leverage by being genuinely valuable to your network. The best relationship positioning comes from consistently creating value for others without immediate expectation of return. Be a connector. Introduce people who should know each other. Share relevant information and opportunities. Offer help when you can. Celebrate others' successes. Be generous with your knowledge and time. When you're consistently valuable to your network becomes valuable to you. Fifth, build your reputation intentionally. Your reputation is what people say about you when you're not there. It determines whether opportunities come to you and whether people want to help you. Build reputation through consistency. Do what you say you'll do. Deliver quality. Be reliable. Over time, reputation compounds. People who've never met you will help you because they've heard about you from people who trust you. Build reputation through visible value creation. Share your work. Share your thinking. Solve problems publicly. Your reputation should be based on demonstrated capability, not just claims. Build reputation through how you treat people. Are you kind? Do you give credit? Do you support others? Do you maintain confidences? These things determine whether people want to be in relationship with you. Sixth, position in networks that are becoming valuable, not just networks that are already established. Where is energy and innovation happening? Where are problems being solved in new ways? Where are emerging opportunities? Position yourself in those networks early. Being early in emerging networks is like being early in emerging markets. Less competition. More ability to establish position. More ability to influence how things develop. When those networks become valuable, you're already positioned. Seventh, maintain relationships over time. Relationships are assets that require maintenance. You can't just connect with someone once and expect the relationship to stay strong. Reach out periodically. Offer value when you can. Stay present, but be thoughtful about maintenance. Some relationships need frequent contact. Others can be maintained with occasional but meaningful interaction. Match your maintenance effort to the relationship's strategic importance and natural rhythm. There's also defensive relationship positioning. This means not being dependent on any single relationship for opportunities or resources. Diversify your relationship positions so that losing any one relationship doesn't destroy your position. Build relationships at different levels, peers who understand your challenges, mentors who've been where you're going, ments who you're helping develop. Different relationships create different types of value. Let me make this concrete. Imagine someone who strategically positions relationally. They build deep relationships with a dozen people who genuinely care about their success. They maintain broader connections with hundreds who trust and respect them. They're known as a connector who introduces valuable people. They're positioned across multiple networks, their industry, adjacent industries, communities they care about. They consistently create value for their network through sharing, connecting, and helping. They have reputation for reliability, expertise, and integrity. This person's relationship positioning creates enormous advantage. Opportunities come to them. Information flows to them. When they need help, people help them. When they're pursuing something, people support them. Their network multiplies their capability. Compare that to someone with a few close friends from childhood who share no professional interests. Casual acquaintances they don't stay in touch with. No reputation in their field. No deliberate network positioning. No history of creating value for others. This person will struggle to access opportunities, information, and support that the first person receives automatically, not because they're less capable, but because they're poorly positioned relationally. Relationship positioning isn't about using people. It's about recognizing that relationships are strategic assets and building them intentionally in ways that create mutual value. The most successful people almost universally have strong relationship positioning. That's not coincidence. We're continuing with how to position yourself through skills, finances, information, and more. Keep listening to learn the complete positioning framework. Positioning through skills. Skills are capabilities you build that create value in various contexts. But not all skills position you equally. Some skills are common and commoditized. Others are rare and valuable. Some skills are becoming less valuable over time. Others are becoming more valuable. Strategic skill positioning means deliberately building capabilities that position you advantageously. You're not just learning things. You're strategically positioning yourself through what you can do. Let's start with a framework for skill positioning. First, understand the difference between commodity skills and positioning skills. Commodity skills are those that many people have. They're valuable but not differentiating. They're table stakes, not advantages. You need them to compete, but having them doesn't position you uniquely. Positioning skills are those that are rare relative to demand. They create differentiation. They position you where you can capture more value because few others can do what you do. The challenge is that what's a positioning skill today might be a commodity skill tomorrow. Skills commoditize over time as more people acquire them. Strategic thinkers stay ahead of commoditization by building skills that are becoming valuable rather than defending skills that are becoming commoditized. Second, understand skill stacking. Your positioning doesn't come from any single skill in isolation. It comes from combinations of skills that are rare and valuable together. Someone with design skills is competing with millions of designers. Someone with design skills and coding ability is competing with far fewer people. Someone with design skills, coding ability, and deep understanding of user psychology is competing with very few people. Someone with all of those plus ability to communicate complex ideas simply, that's genuinely rare positioning. Each skill you add to your stack doesn't add to your value linearly. It multiplies your value by positioning you more uniquely. 3 common skills can combine to create uncommon positioning. Strategic skill positioning means thinking about your skill stack, not just individual skills. What's your next skill that, combined with what you have, creates rare positioning? Third, distinguish between meta skills and domain skills. Domain skills are specific to particular contexts. Coding in Python, financial modeling, graphic design. These are valuable in specific domains. Meta skills are capabilities that enhance performance across many domains. Critical thinking, communication, learning how to learn, pattern recognition. These skills multiply the value of your domain skills. Strategic skill positioning includes both. You need domain skills to create specific value. You need meta skills to maximize that value and adapt as contexts change. Many people focus only on domain skills and neglect meta skills, which limits their positioning. Fourth, understand skill leverage. Some skills have high leverage. Once developed, they create ongoing value. Other skills have low leverage. They require constant application to create value. Writing is high leverage. Once you develop writing ability, you can create value through writing across many contexts over your entire life. That capability keeps working for you. A specific technical skill in a dying technology is low leverage. It creates value only while that technology is used, and maintaining the skill requires ongoing practice. Strategic skill positioning prioritizes high-leverage skills, especially early. These are skills that will compound value over your lifetime rather than creating value in narrow time frames. Fifth, consider skill positioning relative to trends. What skills are becoming more valuable as the world changes? What skills are becoming less valuable? Where's demand growing faster than supply? Where's supply growing faster than demand? Skills related to artificial intelligence, for instance, are becoming more valuable as AI becomes more important. Skills that AI can replicate are becoming less valuable. Strategic thinkers position themselves building skills that benefit from trends rather than fighting them. Let me give you a framework for skill positioning decisions. When considering what skill to build next, ask, does this skill create rare positioning? Will this skill, combined with my existing capabilities, position me uniquely? Or is this a common skill that won't differentiate me? Is this skill becoming more or less valuable? Where is this skill on the trajectory of value? Emerging and growing? Mature and stable? Declining? Position yourself building skills that are on upward value trajectories. Does this skill have leverage? Will this capability keep creating value over time? Or does it require constant reapplication? High leverage skills position you better long term. Does this skill create optionality? Does this open multiple doors? Or does it lead to narrow specialization? Early in your journey, skills that create optionality position you better. Later, when you've chosen your direction, deep specialization can position you better. Does this skill compound with my existing skills? The best next skill is usually one that multiplies the value of what you already have rather than being completely unrelated. Based on these questions, you can make strategic decisions about skill development rather than randomly learning things that seem interesting or trending. There are also specific skill positioning strategies worth considering. T-shaped skill positioning, deep expertise in one area, the vertical of the T, plus broad competence across related areas, the horizontal of the T. This positions you as someone with genuine depth who can also work across boundaries. You're not just a specialist who can't see beyond your domain, and you're not just a generalist without real expertise. M-shaped or comb-shaped positioning, deep expertise in multiple areas. This positions you at intersections. You can bring insights from one deep area to another. You can see opportunities that pure specialists miss. This is powerful positioning, but requires significant investment to build genuine depth in multiple domains. Unique combination positioning, skills that individually might be common, but in combination are rare. The designer who can code, the engineer who can write, the analyst who can communicate with non-technical audiences, the marketer who understands data science. You're positioning through unusual combinations. Future-oriented positioning, building skills that aren't yet valuable but will be as the world changes. This requires ability to see trends and willingness to invest in capabilities before demand is obvious. But being early positions you advantageously when demand arrives. Adjacent skill positioning, building skills that are adjacent to your core expertise. If you're a data analyst, learning about the specific domain you're analyzing positions you better than just being good at analysis. You're moving toward intersection positioning. There's also the question of depth versus breadth. Should you go deep in one area or develop breadth across many areas? The strategic answer: it depends on your positioning goals and your stage of development. Early in your development, breadth creates optionality. You're exploring what works for you and what opportunities exist. You're building varied capabilities that might combine in interesting ways. Too much early specialization can trap you in suboptimal positions. Once you've identified direction, depth creates positioning. You're building expertise that's genuinely rare. You're becoming someone who can solve problems others can't. Depth creates defensible positioning, but pure depth without breadth makes you fragile. If your deep area becomes less relevant, you're stuck. Pure breadth without depth makes you undifferentiated. You're competing with everyone. The strategic position is usually depth in chosen areas, plus enough breadth to be adaptable. There's one more crucial aspect of skill positioning: demonstrable skills versus hidden skills. Having skills doesn't position you if no one knows you have them. Strategic skill positioning includes making your capabilities visible. This might mean sharing your work publicly, writing about what you're learning, teaching others, building portfolio pieces that demonstrate capability, or speaking about your expertise. Your skills position you only when others know about them. Many talented people are poorly positioned not because they lack skills, but because no one knows what they can do. Making your capabilities visible is part of skill positioning strategy. Let me contrast strategic versus tactical skill development. Tactical: learn what's required for your current job. Strategic: build skills that position you for opportunities that don't exist yet. Tactical: learn what's trending. Strategic: learn what will be valuable before it's trending. Tactical: collect credentials. Strategic: build demonstrable capabilities. Tactical: learn in isolation. Strategic: learn in ways that connect to your existing capabilities. The difference compounds massively over time. Tactical skill development keeps you competitive in your current position. Strategic skill development creates superior positioning that opens opportunities others don't see. Your skill stack is one of your most controllable positioning assets. Unlike many positioning factors, you can deliberately build skills. The question is whether you're building them strategically or randomly, whether you're thinking about positioning or just learning things that seem interesting. Strategic skill positioning transforms learning from consumption to investment. Every skill you build is either positioning you better or not. Every learning investment either creates compound returns through better positioning or creates limited returns through commodity capabilities. Choose wisely. Position strategically. Build capabilities that create asymmetric advantage. Financial positioning. Financial positioning is about more than having money. It's about how you're positioned relative to financial opportunities, risks, and freedom. Two people with the same net worth can be positioned completely differently financially. Let's explore strategic financial positioning. Financial positioning operates on several dimensions. First is capital position: what financial assets you own and control. Second is income position: how you generate income and how sustainable or growing that income is. Third is leverage position: how you're using debt or other people's capital. Fourth is optionality position: what financial freedom you have to make choices. Fifth is risk position: what financial vulnerabilities you have. Strategic financial positioning means optimizing across all these dimensions, not just maximizing any one of them. Let's start with capital positioning. Most people focus only on net worth, total assets minus liabilities. But positioning asks different questions. What types of assets do you own? How are they positioned? Liquid financial assets, stocks, bonds, cash, position you with flexibility and optionality. You can access them quickly if opportunities arise or emergencies occur, but they're exposed to market risk. Real assets, real estate, businesses, land, position you with more stability and often generate ongoing cash flow. But they're illiquid and require management. Human capital, your skills and capabilities, is your most valuable asset for most of your working life. Investing in human capital early positions you for compounding returns throughout your career. Strategic capital positioning means having a mix appropriate to your situation and goals. Early in life, most investment should probably go to human capital, building skills, buying experiences that develop you, positioning yourself for career growth. Later, financial capital becomes more important. The key is being intentional about which types of capital you're building and why. Not just following default paths, but positioning deliberately based on your strategic goals. Income positioning is about how you generate money. Most people have only one income stream, salary from one job. This is poor positioning. You're completely dependent on one source. If that source disappears, you have no income. Strategic income positioning means building multiple streams if possible, diversifying across different types of income, and positioning income streams that grow or are sustainable rather than requiring constant effort. Types of income positioning. Active income. You trade time for money. Salary. Hourly work. Most people start here, and many never leave. It's necessary but not sufficient for strong financial positioning. Leveraged active income. You're still trading time for money, but you're leveraged. Your time creates more value than basic hourly rates. Consulting. Speaking. High-value services. This positions you better than basic active income. Passive income. Money generated without ongoing time investment. Investment returns. Rental income. Royalties. Business income from systems you've built. This is strong positioning because your income isn't limited by your time. Equity compensation. You own part of growing assets. Startup equity. Business ownership. This positions you to benefit from value creation beyond just your contribution. Strategic income positioning usually means starting with active income, building skills and capabilities that enable leveraged active income, investing those returns into assets that generate passive income, and potentially building or buying equity in growing businesses. The specific path matters less than the direction, moving from pure time-for-money trades toward income that's leveraged and eventually passive or equity-based. Leverage positioning is about how you use borrowed capital or other people's resources. Leverage can strengthen your position or destroy it, depending on how it's used. Positive leverage. Borrowing to invest in assets that appreciate faster than the borrowing cost. Mortgage on property that appreciates. Business loans that fund growth. This positions you to multiply your capital. Negative leverage. Borrowing to fund consumption or depreciating assets. High-interest consumer debt. This positions you poorly. You're paying to reduce your future optionality. Strategic financial positioning usually means avoiding negative leverage entirely, using positive leverage carefully when the math makes sense, and building positions where you're not dependent on leverage, but can use it opportunistically. Optionality positioning is about what choices your financial position enables. Someone with $100,000 in cash has different optionality than someone with $100,000 in equity in their primary residence. Same net worth, different positioning. Strong optionality positioning means having liquid reserves that let you handle surprises or pursue opportunities, having income that covers your needs so you can make career choices based on interest, not just pay, having enough assets that you could stop working if needed, having capital to invest when opportunities arise. The goal isn't necessarily to maximize net worth. It's to build financial position that maximizes your life optionality. What options do you want your financial position to create? Risk positioning is about financial resilience. What would break your financial position? What are you exposed to? Financial risks include income concentration depending on one source, lack of reserves, can't handle unexpected expenses, high fixed costs, require high income to maintain, leverage that could go wrong, borrowed capital in risky investments, and single asset concentration, all your wealth in one thing. Strategic financial positioning means diversifying income sources, maintaining emergency reserves, controlling fixed costs, using leverage carefully, diversifying assets, and having insurance against catastrophic risks. You're not trying to eliminate all risk. Risk is often necessary for returns, but you're positioning so that no single risk can destroy you. Let me give you a framework for financial positioning strategy. Early phase, building capital focus on human capital investment, skills, and positioning that create career value. Minimize lifestyle costs. Start building reserves. Develop saving discipline. Begin understanding investing. Your income is low but growing fast, so positioning for income growth matters most. Middle phase. Accumulating assets. Focus on building financial capital while continuing to grow income. Develop multiple income streams if possible. Build substantial reserves. Invest consistently in diversified assets. Control lifestyle inflation. Your income is growing and you're converting it to assets systematically. Later phase. Protecting and deploying capital. Focus on building passive income, reducing active income dependency, maintaining optionality, protecting accumulated assets, and potentially building businesses or equity positions. Your assets are substantial and generating returns. You're positioning for financial independence. The specific financial amounts that define these phases vary by person and location, but the positioning logic is consistent. You're building from human capital to financial capital, from active to passive income, from dependent to optionally active. There are also specific financial positioning strategies worth considering. Geographic arbitrage. Positioning where you can earn in high-income markets while living in lower-cost markets. Remote work enables this for many people. It's a positioning strategy that dramatically improves financial progress. Tax positioning. Structuring your income and assets to legally minimize taxes. Different income types are taxed differently. Different jurisdictions have different tax rules. Strategic financial positioning includes understanding tax implications and positioning accordingly. Debt positioning. Using good debt strategically while avoiding bad debt. Mortgage on appreciating property can be good positioning. High-interest consumer debt is terrible positioning. The difference matters enormously. Asset positioning. Not just which assets you own, but how they're positioned. Are they liquid when you need liquidity? Are they growing when you need growth? Are they generating income when you need income? The same assets positioned differently create different outcomes. Let me contrast strategic versus tactical financial behavior. Tactical, maximize current salary. Strategic, maximize long-term earning potential. Tactical, save when convenient. Strategic, systematize saving before spending. Tactical, invest when you feel confident. Strategic, invest consistently regardless of feelings. Tactical, buy things that seem valuable. Strategic, buy assets that create value. Tactical, borrow for consumption. Strategic, borrow only for assets that appreciate. These differences compound dramatically over decades. Two people with the same income can end up in completely different financial positions based on whether they think tactically or strategically about finances. Your financial positioning creates or constrains your life options. Strong financial positioning means you can take career risks others can't, pursue opportunities others can't afford, handle difficulties others would be destroyed by, and make choices based on what's right rather than what pays. Financial positioning isn't about getting rich. It's about creating the financial foundation that enables the life you want to live. And that foundation is built through strategic positioning, not tactical income maximization or spending minimization. Position yourself financially with the same intentionality you position yourself in career, skills, and relationships. It's one of your most important positioning decisions. Information and knowledge positioning. In a world where information is abundant, information positioning creates asymmetric advantage. Not just having information. Everyone has access to information, but being positioned to access better information, interpret it better, and act on it faster. Information positioning operates on several dimensions. First, access positioning. Some positions give you access to information others don't have. You're earlier in information flows. You're in rooms where things are discussed before they're public. You're in networks where knowledge is shared freely. You're in situations where you observe dynamics firsthand rather than reading about them later. Access positioning is valuable because early or exclusive information enables better decisions. You can act on opportunities before they're obvious. You can avoid problems others don't see coming. You can position yourself based on information others don't have yet. How do you build access positioning? Through relationships with people who have information. Through positioning in valuable networks. Through building trust so people share sensitive information with you. Through being where important conversations happen. This isn't about insider trading or unethical access to confidential information. It's about being positioned in flows of information that aren't public, but aren't secret either. Being in industry groups where people share insights. Being in communities where practitioners discuss what's working. Being in relationships where people share what they're seeing. Second, processing positioning. Even with the same information access, some people extract more value from information than others. They recognize patterns others miss. They connect ideas others don't connect. They see implications others don't see. Processing positioning comes from frameworks and mental models that help you organize and interpret information. From practice analyzing information in your domain. From diverse knowledge that lets you draw connections. From asking better questions about information you encounter. Strategic information positioning means deliberately building better processing capabilities. Reading widely to develop broad context. Studying how excellent thinkers in your domain process information. Building frameworks that help you organize what you learn. Practicing synthesis and pattern recognition. Third, curation positioning. With information abundance, curation creates value. The ability to filter signal from noise. To identify what information matters. To separate quality from junk. To save attention for what's genuinely important. Some people are excellent curators. They consistently find valuable information that others miss. They filter out garbage. They've developed judgment about sources and signals. This curation ability positions them as valuable. People come to them for recommendations about what's worth paying attention to. Build curation positioning by developing quality filters. Know which sources consistently provide value. Know how to evaluate new sources. Know what questions determine whether information is valuable. Share your curations with others to build reputation as someone with good information judgment. Fourth, synthesis positioning. The most valuable information capabilities involve synthesizing information from multiple sources into novel insights or frameworks. Taking disparate pieces and creating understanding that doesn't exist in any individual source. Synthesis positioning creates unique value. You're not just passing along information others have. You're creating new understanding by connecting and integrating information others aren't connecting. This positions you as someone who creates insight, not just shares information. Build synthesis positioning by deliberately practicing connection making. When you encounter new information, ask, how does this relate to other things I know? What patterns does this fit into? What does this imply? What can I create by combining this with other knowledge? Fifth, application positioning. Having information creates value only if you act on it. Some people are excellent at converting information into action. They don't just know things. They use what they know to make better decisions, solve problems, or create opportunities. Application positioning means being known as someone who executes based on information, not just accumulates knowledge. This positions you as valuable in practical contexts, not just intellectual ones. Build application positioning by creating tight loops between learning and doing. When you learn something, find immediate applications. When you encounter information, ask, what would I do differently knowing this? Then actually do it differently. Let me give you a framework for strategic information positioning. Position yourself in valuable information flows. What are the highest quality sources in your domain? What communities share valuable information? What people consistently provide insights? Position yourself to access these flows early and consistently. Position yourself at intersections of different information flows. If you're exposed to information from multiple different domains, you can see connections and opportunities that people in any single flow can't see. This intersection positioning creates synthesis opportunities. Position yourself as a contributor to information flows, not just a consumer. Share what you're learning. Synthesize insights. Create frameworks. When you contribute value to information flows, others share more freely with you. Your information position strengthens. Position yourself with frameworks that enhance processing, mental models, systematic ways of evaluating information, question sets that help you extract insight. These frameworks multiply the value you get from information you encounter. Position yourself for long-term learning. Information positioning isn't built in days or weeks. It's built over years of consistent learning, synthesis, and application. The compounding comes from decades of building better information capabilities. There are specific information positioning strategies worth considering. Expert positioning. Build deep expertise in a specific domain. This positions you to process information in that domain better than generalists. You see nuances they miss. You recognize patterns they don't see. Your expert position enhances information value. Generalist positioning. Build broad knowledge across many domains. This positions you to see connections specialists miss. You can bring ideas from one domain to another. Your generalist position creates synthesis opportunities. Curator positioning. Build reputation for finding and sharing valuable information. Position yourself as a filter others trust. This makes people share information with you and pay attention to what you share. Contrarian positioning. Build capability to see what consensus misses. Question conventional wisdom. Look for information that contradicts dominant narratives. This positioning helps you see opportunities others miss because they're following the herd. Forward-looking positioning. Focus on emerging information and trends rather than established knowledge. Position yourself understanding what's becoming important rather than what's already important. This creates early positioning advantage. Let me contrast tactical versus strategic information behavior. Tactical, consume information passively. Strategic, curate actively. Tactical, collect facts. Strategic, build frameworks. Tactical, stay current on everything. Strategic, go deep on what matters. Tactical, learn randomly. Strategic, learn systematically in valuable directions. Tactical, keep information private. Strategic, share generously to build information network position. Strategic information positioning also includes defensive aspects. In a world of information abundance, protecting your attention is critical. You can't consume everything. You need filters that protect you from low-quality information, from outrage and distraction, from noise that consumes attention without creating value. Position yourself with clear boundaries around information consumption. What deserves your attention? What doesn't? What sources get systematic attention? What do you ignore completely? These boundaries are positioning choices. Your information position, what you know, how you process it, who you learn from, what you do with it, creates advantage in every domain. Better information enables better decisions. Better decisions compound into better outcomes. Information positioning is one of your highest leverage positioning opportunities. Position yourself in quality information flows. Build capabilities to process and synthesize information well. Use information to make better decisions and take better actions. This information positioning, built over years, creates compound advantage that's difficult for others to match. Timing and opportunity positioning. Being in the right place at the right time isn't luck. It's positioning. Strategic thinkers position themselves where opportunities emerge before they're obvious to everyone else. They recognize opportunities others miss. They're positioned to act quickly when opportunities arise. Timing and opportunity positioning is about being early to valuable trends, positioned in valuable spaces, and ready to act when opportunities emerge. Let's explore how to position for opportunities. First, trend positioning. Opportunities emerge from trends, changes in technology, society, markets, or behavior that create new possibilities. Being early to valuable trends creates enormous positioning advantage. How do you position for trends? Pay attention to what's changing, not just what is. Look for weak signals, small indicators of larger shifts coming. Notice what early adopters are excited about. Watch for technologies or behaviors that seem niche but have clear growth trajectories. Strategic thinkers deliberately position themselves exposed to information about emerging trends. They follow people who are experimenting. They engage with communities where innovation happens. They read outside their immediate domain to see what's emerging elsewhere. But trend positioning isn't just observing. It's acting before consensus. When you identify a potentially valuable trend early, how do you position yourself to benefit? Maybe by building skills that will be valuable if the trend grows, by building relationships in that space, by creating solutions for needs that will emerge, by investing in companies or assets positioned for that trend. Early positioning in valuable trends creates outsized returns. You're not competing with everyone. You're positioned before the rush. When the trend becomes obvious and everyone tries to participate, you're already established. But how do you distinguish valuable trends from noise? Not everything that's new is valuable. Not every trend grows. Strategic thinkers develop judgment about which emerging patterns have real potential versus which are just fads. Some principles. Look for trends that solve real problems in better ways. Look for trends that have obvious growth potential. Look for trends where network effects or compounding will accelerate growth. Look for trends in early stages where most people are still skeptical. Conversely, be skeptical of trends that are already hyped, that solve problems nobody has, that have no clear path to sustainability, or that are based on hoping for future value without current value. Second, spatial positioning. Opportunities cluster in specific locations, geographic, network, or market spaces. Being positioned in or adjacent to these clusters creates opportunity access. Some cities have more opportunities in specific domains than others. Some networks have more opportunities flowing through them. Some markets have more unmet needs. Strategic positioning means being where opportunities are dense rather than sparse. This doesn't always mean moving to obvious hubs. Sometimes positioning adjacent to major hubs, where costs are lower but access is still good, is better positioning. Sometimes positioning in emerging hubs before they're obvious is better than positioning in established hubs where competition is intense. The key is being deliberate about spatial positioning. Where are opportunities you care about most dense? Where is competition lowest? Where do costs enable longest runway? Where is growth fastest? These factors determine optimal positioning. Third, intersection positioning. The most valuable opportunities often exist at intersections, between different technologies, between different markets, between different types of expertise. Positioning yourself at intersections means you see opportunities that specialists in either domain miss. If you understand both software and healthcare, you see opportunities to improve healthcare with software that software people don't see, because they don't understand healthcare, and healthcare people don't see, because they don't understand what software enables. Strategic intersection positioning means deliberately building knowledge and relationships across different domains. You're not just going deep in one area. You are connecting multiple areas in ways that create unique perspective and opportunity access. Fourth, readiness positioning. Even if you see opportunities, you can only capture them if you're positioned to act. Readiness means having resources, capabilities, bandwidth, and positioning that enables quick action when opportunities arise. Financial readiness. Having capital available to invest in opportunities. Not all assets tied up in liquid investments or committed to other purposes. Enough financial cushion to take risks. Capability readiness. Having skills and knowledge to execute on opportunities you might see. If you identify an opportunity but lack capability to pursue it, the opportunity doesn't help you. Bandwidth readiness. Having attention and time available. If you're completely committed to current activities, you can't pursue new opportunities even if you see them. Strategic positioning includes maintaining some slack, some uncommitted capacity that enables opportunistic moves. Relationship readiness. Having relationships that enable you to assemble resources, teams, or partnerships quickly when opportunities arise. If an opportunity requires collaboration, but you have no network to build collaborations with, you can't pursue it. Fifth, recognition positioning. You can only capture opportunities you recognize as opportunities. Some people are excellent at recognizing opportunities that others walk past. This isn't just luck or intuition. It's positioning. They've built frameworks and experience that help them recognize opportunity patterns. Strategic opportunity recognition comes from pattern matching against opportunities you've seen before, frameworks for evaluating what makes opportunities valuable, asking good questions when encountering new situations, diverse knowledge that helps you see implications others miss, and practice. The more opportunities you evaluate, the better you get at recognition. Let me give you a framework for opportunity positioning. Position yourself in information flows about emerging trends. Follow people experimenting in domains that interest you. Join communities where innovation happens. Read widely across different fields. This positions you to see weak signals others miss. Position yourself with skills and knowledge at intersections. Don't just specialize narrowly. Build capabilities that combine in unusual ways. This positions you to see opportunities at intersections that specialists miss. Position yourself with readiness to act. Maintain financial reserves. Keep some bandwidth available. Build relationships that enable quick collaboration. This positions you to move quickly when opportunities arise, before they're obvious to everyone. Position yourself in or adjacent to opportunity-dense spaces. This might be geographic positioning, network positioning, or market positioning. Be where opportunities cluster, or where you can easily access those clusters. Position yourself to capture compounding opportunities. The best opportunities are those that, if captured, position you for even better opportunities. Think about opportunity sequences and chains, not just individual opportunities. There are specific timing and opportunity strategies worth considering. First mover positioning, being first to emerging opportunities. Higher risk, but potentially higher reward if the opportunity is real. Less competition. More ability to define the space. Fast follower positioning, watching what first movers do, learning from their mistakes, then moving quickly once viability is proven. Lower risk than first moving. Still ahead of the mainstream. Often captures more value than first movers who make costly mistakes. Contrarian positioning. Looking for opportunities everyone else is ignoring because of incorrect consensus beliefs. Higher difficulty recognizing these opportunities, but potentially enormous returns if you're right and consensus is wrong. Patient positioning. Positioning yourself well and waiting for the right opportunity rather than forcing opportunities. This requires financial and psychological resilience to wait, but often leads to better outcomes than rushing into marginal opportunities. Let me contrast tactical versus strategic opportunity thinking. Tactical: wait for opportunities to appear obviously. Strategic: position where opportunities will emerge. Tactical: compete for opportunities everyone sees. Strategic: see opportunities others miss. Tactical: react when opportunities are obvious. Strategic: act before opportunities are obvious. Tactical: pursue any opportunity. Strategic: be selective about which opportunities serve your positioning. Tactical: improvise when opportunities appear. Strategic: be prepared to act quickly. Being in the right place at the right time is positioning. Being ready to act when opportunities appear is positioning. Seeing opportunities others miss is positioning. All of these are learnable and buildable through strategic positioning choices. You can't create luck, but you can position yourself where lucky breaks are more likely to find you. You can develop capabilities that help you recognize opportunities. You can maintain readiness to act. That's not luck. That's strategic opportunity positioning. Defensive positioning. Offensive positioning creates advantages, but defensive positioning is equally important. It protects you from risks, builds resilience, and ensures setbacks don't destroy your position. Strategic positioning balances upside opportunity with downside protection. Diversification positioning. Don't have single points of failure. If you depend on one income source, one skill, one relationship, or one asset, you're vulnerable. Multiple income streams, multiple valuable skills, multiple relationship networks, multiple assets. This isn't mediocrity. It's excellence in multiple areas, so no single failure destroys you. Optionality positioning. Have multiple paths forward. If your only path is blocked, you're stuck. Build capabilities that transfer across contexts. Keep options open. Don't commit irreversibly before you're certain. Career optionality means skills valuable across multiple roles and companies. Financial optionality means liquid reserves and manageable costs. Geographic optionality means ability to relocate if needed. Anti-fragility positioning. Build positions that benefit from volatility rather than just surviving it. Nassim Taleb's concept. Fragile positions break under stress. Robust positions survive. Anti-fragile positions get stronger. Create asymmetric exposure. Limited downside, large upside. Small losses don't hurt much. Large wins help significantly. Volatility works in your favor. Reserve positioning. Maintain resources for unexpected needs or opportunities. Financial reserves for emergencies and opportunities. Time reserves through uncommitted bandwidth. Energy reserves through sustainable pacing. Relationship reserves you can call on when needed. Exit positioning. Have clear exits from positions that aren't working, not being trapped. Career exits mean viable alternatives. Relationship exits mean willingness to end what doesn't serve. Investment exits mean maintaining liquidity. Geographic exits mean not being irrevocably tied to one place. Framework. Audit your single points of failure. For each, ask, what would happen if this failed? How could I diversify this? Then systematically reduce vulnerabilities. Build appropriate reserves. Create optionality. Position for anti-fragility. Balance offensive and defensive positioning. Pure offense creates fragility. Pure defense creates stagnation. Strategic positioning builds advantages while maintaining resilience. You position to win while ensuring you can't be completely knocked out. Repositioning when needed. Circumstances change. What was optimal positioning 5 years ago might not be optimal today. Strategic positioning includes knowing when and how to reposition, recognizing when repositioning is needed. Signal 1. Your position isn't creating the value it used to. Skills that were rare are now common. Advantage is eroded. Signal 2. Your goals have changed. Original positioning optimized for goals no longer relevant. Signal 3. Better opportunities have become available that require different positioning. Signal 4. You're consistently struggling where you shouldn't be. If well positioned, you should have advantages. Signal 5. Your environment has changed dramatically. Technology, market, or geographic shifts. Pay attention to signals before you're forced to reposition. Proactive repositioning is more effective than reactive, deciding whether to adjust or pivot. Adjustments are appropriate when core positioning is sound, but specific elements need updating. Skills need refreshing. Network needs expansion. Income needs diversification. Pivots are appropriate when fundamental positioning is no longer sound. The field is declining. Value you create is no longer valuable. Capabilities don't fit opportunities. Adjustments require evolution. Pivots require building new positions from scratch. Choose appropriately. How to reposition effectively. Clarify your new positioning goal. Be specific. Assess what transfers from current position, skills, relationships, reputation, assets. Identify your repositioning path. Consider building new position before leaving old position to reduce risk. Execute systematically with specific actions and milestones. Managing transition. Repositioning involves a period between positions. Maintain fundamentals. Build new position quickly. Avoid commitments that lock you into wrong position. Be transparent with key people. Transition periods are psychologically difficult. Many abandon repositioning because it's uncomfortable. Strategic thinkers push through, focused on positioning they're building. Testing before committing. When repositioning significantly, test new position before fully committing. Small experiments. Temporary roles. Pilot projects. Learn whether new positioning creates expected advantages. Staged approach reduces risk. Strategic positioning is dynamic. Continuously assess position. Recognize when adjustment or repositioning is needed. Execute changes deliberately. This ensures you're always improving rather than staying stuck in positions that no longer serve you. The ability to reposition effectively is itself positioning advantage. Strategic thinkers reposition when needed, never trapped in obsolete positions. Your winning position, implementation. Now comes the most important part, actually positioning yourself. Not just understanding intellectually, but implementing in your life. Implementation framework. First, audit your current position. Honestly assess across all dimensions. Career. Where are you positioned professionally? Relationships, where in networks? Skills, what capabilities? Finances, what's your capital? Income, leverage position. Information, how positioned in flows. Opportunities, positioned where they emerge? Be truthful. You're assessing actual position to improve strategically. Second, define positioning goals. Where do you want to be positioned 3 to 5 years from now? Specific goals, not vague wishes. What value do you want to create? For whom? What advantages? What moats? What optionality? Write this down. Writing forces clarity. Third, identify positioning gaps. The difference between current and goal position shows what needs to change. For each dimension, what's the gap? What advantages need building? What vulnerabilities need addressing? Fourth, develop positioning strategy. Based on gaps, what moves make sense? Which opportunities have highest leverage? Where can you build asymmetric advantage? What sequence makes sense? Your strategy should include specific capabilities to build, relationships to develop, career moves, financial targets, and ways to position for opportunities. Fifth, create positioning roadmap. Strategy needs to translate into specific actions over time. What are you doing this month, quarter year? Build roadmap with specific milestones and quarterly goals. Sixth, implement systematically. Build positioning reviews into routine. Weekly, assess if time and energy go to positioning activities. Monthly, evaluate progress. Quarterly, assess trajectory and adjust strategy. Build positioning actions into daily and weekly practices. Positioning happens through consistent action over time. Seventh, track positioning progress. You need indicators. For skills, what capabilities can you demonstrate now? For relationships, what new connections? For career, what opportunities available? Track leading indicators, not just lagging results. Eighth, adjust as you learn. Positioning strategy evolves. Quarterly reviews are adjustment points. What's working? What isn't? What new opportunities visible? Execute, learn, adjust. Execute updated strategy. Ninth, be patient with positioning. Positioning compounds over time. Benefits might not be visible for months or years. You're building foundations that create advantages later. Most people quit before their positioning compounds. Strategic positioning requires sustained execution, usually years, not months. Concrete example, someone moves from generic mid-level marketing role to recognized expert at intersection of marketing and data science. Daily learning, weekly content creation, monthly networking, quarterly evaluation. 3 years of consistent execution builds rare expertise, relationships across communities, multiple income streams, and financial runway. Positioned where neither pure marketers nor data scientists can compete. That's positioning. Strategic positioning executed consistently over time. Your framework. Understand current position, define goals, identify gaps, develop strategy, create roadmap, implement systematically, track progress. Adjust as you learn. Be patient with compounding. Most people will understand intellectually, but not implement. They'll stay in current positions, hoping things improve, not recognizing position determines outcomes more than effort. But you can be different. Audit your position. Define goals. Develop strategy. Execute consistently. Build positions that create compound advantages. The difference between understanding and positioning yourself is implementation, doing the work, executing consistently even when results aren't visible, having faith that positioning compounds. You now have the complete framework. You understand positioning mindset. You know strategies across every domain. You have implementation frameworks. What remains is your choice. Will you position strategically? Will you do the work? Will you execute until your positioning compounds? The game is being played. Position determines outcomes. Those who position strategically win. Those who don't struggle regardless of effort. Position yourself to win. Execute. Adjust. Execute more. Over time, your position strengthens. Opportunities flow to you. Advantages compound. Winning becomes natural. That's the power of strategic positioning. That's how you position yourself to win. Thank you for listening to Position Yourself to Win. If this audiobook has given you insights, share it with others serious about creating winning positions. Subscribe for more strategic thinking frameworks. Your positioning journey starts now. Make it count.